Hiya, I'm Michael Moran, and I'm hosting this very special edition of Executive Coaching Uncovered. And today we're going to discuss coaching across cultures. And I'm joined by two very special guests, Nolly Cole and Natalia Zelinska. So before we start the proceedings, ladies, why don't you just give a very brief introduction and particularly your experience in coaching across cultures? Nolly.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I work as a executive coaching, and I've done several sessions all over the world, really, South America, Europe, and Africa, and Asia, Middle East. And I found some particulars skills that will probably need. So we will talk about it later on. That's
We
me.
certainly will, Nolly. Thank you. And I was going to make a joke at the start with the two coaches are both P's, one from Peru, Nolly, and one from Poland, Natalia.
Yeah.
Natalia, so
Oh, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Michael. So I'm also an executive coach. I'm also a mentor coach, coach trainer. So my life is centered around coaching and human potential. And I also have been working with people from many countries, and I absolutely love it. And I find it absolutely fascinating each time to meet someone from different country and to connect to them at a human to human level to see the change happening. So that's me.
excellent. And I should have said at the outset, the wonderful Sharon Rowlands is hosting today's event. So anyone listening wants to ask a question of our esteemed panel, please feel free to do so, and I'll try and put that into our list of questions. But as our starter, as I said on the University Challenge, start for 10, Nolly, what do we mean by cultural differences?
Well, what I found is that basically there is sort of personalities that have things in common. As some people are very extrovert, some people are introvert. Those type of characteristics. But you also see that the environment where they live in, the social environment, the physical environment, has an impact on persons, and things like religion, gender, all those things are seen, and etc. Because there are a lot more. They are seen in different ways and impact persons in different ways too. Even the political crisis, they have an impact in persons. And you would think that it would probably is for a short time, but unfortunately some persons carry it for a very long time. So it's good that we know what happens with that feeling that you get of dealing with all this. And for a coach, it's important to be aware that these things can happen within the different persons that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it strikes
finish.
me that that's good, Nolly. But it does strike me that we're always very quick to sort of paint a picture of particular cultures or stereotypes. I was in Paris yesterday, and I was trying to cross the road, and the Parisians, when they drive, have no structure. There was just complete logjam there. So, Natalia, what's your understanding of cultural differences, and maybe things we should avoid when coming to conclusions with culture?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So I'm really fascinated by different cultures, and I also see that each culture is unique and beautiful in its own sense and carries the light and the shadow. And I would say that each culture is really represented by the variety of kind of shared beliefs and values and traditions and rituals, and at the same time specific behaviors. So, and also what Noli was saying, there are also things at the individual levels, but also collective level in the culture that they carry from past generations into now and into their awareness. So it's really good to, as a coach, first of all, just to be curious and be aware of the context in which the culture and the person from a given culture is, and also the really, really wide impact. And just look at this person, this relationship with pure curiosity and respect to what is going on in people's life and how their life has been shaped by the culture in which they have been growing up.
Okay. Now this is a LinkedIn Live podcast, very much focused on the coaching community. And so what I'm interested in next is in exploring sort of how these cultural differences impact the coaching relationship and its effectiveness. Nolly, do you want to start with
Yeah,
that
of
question?
course. Uh, well, I see that the coach has to first listen and try to get rid of as many prejudices as we can have. And I have an example there. There was this person who was under an interviews for a job, and the person was from the Middle East and wanted to have a very long curriculum, but write it down very long because he thought that if he worked with a short curriculum, then it wasn't going to be useful, for his image. He thought that people wouldn't grasp his knowledge and all the experience he had, and things like that, impact in the session. Because if you are told that you have to teach how to do a brief resume, then these ideas present, and the resistance of the person presents, and we have to work on it. So uh, try to, whatever the coach decides to do, try to teach them how to do the small curriculum and etc. So there are examples like this where they show you that the person, the culture that they have, impacts in the relationship, and the coach, just that's what is very important, just to go with an open mind as much as we can.
Okay. So listening, being open-minded. Natalia, what other things would you highlight? Indeed, if you've got an example like
Yeah.
Nolly described when you're working with individuals from different cultures.
Hmm. So my experience is I would also look at this from two sides. Depending on the culture, there is a different understanding of what coaching is and
Yeah.
what it can do for clients. So I think this is really important to, for me also, depending on the culture, to really just help a person to understand what's the difference between coaching and mentoring, and so that they can step into the process. But also, there is work on the culture side to, first of all, be really respectful of different cultures. And obviously, my experience is that regardless of the culture, and what I have learned over the years, is to respect that the person is in a given context, but at the same time, it's really important for me to connect at a human to human level. I call it be limbically attuned to a client. So really step into the relationship with curiosity and presence, without judgment and openness and listening, and really tune not only at the cognitive level, but really drop deeper into this intuitive level. Be really kind of breathing with the client. This opens up a safe space. And I guess my experience that it doesn't really matter whether someone is from one country or another. At a deep level, as much as we are beautifully different, we all want to, at the deep level, the same. That's my experience. We want to connect, and we want to belong, and we want to be seen and heard.
I want to move us on to the skills that are involved in coaching across different cultures, but maybe I can highlight a couple of things which I think come out of coaching. Nolly was talking about a client in the Middle East, and certainly my experience when we had the office in Dubai was, and come back to your point, Natalia, about coaching and mentoring, people wanting to be told, i.e., tell me what I need to do, and I'll go and do it. And likewise, when I've worked with Asian clients, the respect for authority, so therefore they're talking about relationships they may be having with their boss, isn't natural to them. So, given those two scenarios and others you want to highlight, what are the key skills do you think, over and above what we'd have as a normal executive coach, that you need to be aware of when working with people from different cultures? Natalia, would you want to start this time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that above and beyond of what we would say is key to coaching is really be aware of the cultural differences and be really sensitive to them. And I think it's really important to respect them. And this allows me, at least as a coach, to attune to the client and to find that common ground, that starting point that will help me with the client to establish a meaningful goals for them and follow their agenda. So I would really say that cultural sensitivity, in addition to core coaching skills, is really, really crucial here, and kind of really attuned to that without judgment, so that we can create a safe space for the exploration for the client.
And therefore, my example of where the individual is expecting the coach to tell them how they should handle the particular, how would you deal with that scenario, Natalia?
Well, I think in any coaching relationship, the contracting phase is really important. So really kind of helping clients to understand what's the difference between coaching and mentoring, for example, or consulting. So they sense the difference, because I see also working with people from different cultures. Kind of my experience with people from Asia, for example, is very different than working from people in Europe, in the sense of understanding of what coaching is and isn't. And as a result, also the level of openness to the process and the kind of reflective process and processing, how far someone is ready to open up and really embrace the power of finding their own answers versus telling and guiding and advising. So I think that clarity in the contracting phase and agreement, that whether someone is open to the process and coaching might be a way for them to grow and learn, is the right way. It's really crucial to establish at the beginning of the process.
Okay, thank you. Now turning the same question to you, Nolly, but maybe
Yes.
you can address my issue of
Yeah.
where people culturally respect hierarchies and are therefore not coming to a coaching conversation with an open mind or willing to
Yeah.
discuss things.
One of the things that I found, I have an example and maybe it clarified what I think, is first of all, the coaching activity doesn't allow us to give an advice, because we will get involved in guiding the person. So, the best way to do it is just to look for what the person really wants and is needing. So, sort of try to clarify it with the coach, with the coachee. Sorry, but I had an experience that this is from Africa, that the person was going for a job, applying for a job that had a woman as a boss. And one of the principal questions for this person is was trying to approach the interview with a very dominant attitude, because he explained me that after we pointed out that we have to change the attitude, that because this job was in the United States, so the person was really upset because didn't know how to approach this. He said, in my country, men are very strong, are supposed to be like that, but through the conversations, he found out that maybe this African woman that was in America had changed. So he didn't know what to do and how to approach it. So coaching gets into here, and we arrived to a conclusion of how he had to change. And the good thing about it is that he got the job. Because he had to work. His boss was going to be a woman, and his colleague was going to be a woman. So it was the first time in his life, and he's was over 40, that was working with women, and he really didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
how to approach it.
That highlights for me one supplementary, which I'm going to ask around,
Or,
where you have been coaching, and for example, where the corporate sponsor or the boss of the person being coached has a view as to what should be the coaching outcome. And again, I think it's perception how people see coaching. Have you dealt with that, and what advice would you give to coaches when they are working with those sorts of assignments where, put frankly, the boss wants a particular outcome?
yeah, it's Here, what I do is I try to approach also the fact of deception,
Yeah.
because if I see that the person doesn't have the skills for the job that he is applying to, is to try to show him first his skills, the good skills he has, and then he always knows the skills that they're looking for. And okay, you see if you really have a match here. If
Yeah.
you want to apply, great, but does it match what they're looking for and what you want? And usually that's the way I do it. And the outcome is that the person, if he wants to apply, I had a case also in America that he decided not to apply because he saw it coming. He thought, I'm not going to be happy in that environment.
Yeah.
So, but if he decides to apply, he's prepared to be excluded or not getting the job. So, doesn't frustrate himself as much. So he's trying to cover the two areas.
And
Mhm.
Natalia, have you come across that issue where the expectations of the corporate sponsor and I suppose the expectations of the individual clash?
Absolutely. And I think I do coach a lot within organizations. And I think, first of all, it's very important when there is a need or an option for a person from the business to be coached, to at least, first of all, not at least, but it's really important and it's crucial to have a three-way meeting. So
Yeah.
between the coach, the sponsor, and the client. Because
Yeah.
as you say, Michael, the expectations of the business and the kind of openness to the process of the client and their own expectations of the process can be different. So what I usually do, I have a three-way meeting when I'm stepping more into a role of a facilitator, enabling a conversation between the sponsor and the coach to discuss together what is the goal that the client wants to work on that's related to an organizational business goals, but has to have a personal element. And then what the outcome, what is the desired outcome, how they would know the success, what the success would look like. And also encourage them to encourage the sponsor to take a role of someone who supports the client in between sessions, because the session can be a beautiful exploratory space, but it's about the relationship in between the sessions. They work together. So as an example, I had a client recently where the company wanted the client to have more influence and to really be more gravitas in meetings, in business meetings. And the client initially couldn't really understand what it meant, what the success would look like, what the value would be for him. So essentially, we were trying to establish through the facilitated three-way meeting where the client finally felt, okay, I see a value in me, have more gravitas and more presence and more influence, what this will do for me. So this way they started talking and shaping the goal, the main goal for the sequence of sessions and what the success would look like. And then also established a support the sponsor would give the client be in between sessions to help them succeed. So it is kind of a relationship of three.
Okay. And thank you very much, both of you, for lots of rich material there. Can we now pull it together? And so what are your top three strategies you would employ when working with individuals from different cultures? Nolly, what's your top three?
Okay. Well, first of all, I try to listen. I try to get informed about what the persons are, they come from. And I work for a big organization that I'm not mentioning because I don't think it's necessary, but it's a worldwide organization. So we sort of always try to get involved with the people. So I listened. First of all, I get the knowledge. Secondly, I listen to the persons. And thirdly, after I try to get rid of all my prejudice, I uh, I try to see it as a person,
Yeah.
because you, Michael, said something the other day that I thought it was very interesting. So we have general knowledge and we have general characteristics, but at the end, it's like Natalie mentioned a moment ago, they're persons. So see what's important for a person. That's because sometimes even the persons say, for example, oh yes, I want to change jobs, and then when you initiate the session, you find out that they don't really want to change the job, that they're feeling bad with themselves for
Yeah.
X number of reasons. So that's the idea, no? And then with the first objective that he or she mentioned, try to match it to the what the person really wants.
Yeah. So I'm
Why?
taking knowledge, listen, be objective, and see the coachee as a person. Natalia, what are your top three?
Hmm. My top three, first of all, is presence. So becoming present and
Yeah.
connected to myself before each session, so I can drop my attention from my head more into my sensation and intuition. And then when I step into a coaching session, connected more to myself. The second one is open mind, curiosity. Uh, the third one would be going again, connecting to my client, limbically being attuned to the client, so I can really sense at a non-verbal level that connection. And that's my space to go and start exploring what the client really wants. And it's really important for me to help each client, depending, regardless of the culture, to really connect themselves to a resonant and a meaningful goal. If the goal is not meaningful and resonant, it won't have a transformative power. So we want the clients to really sense that what they want, even if this is linked in the context of executive coaching and organization, that what they're working on is really meaningful for
Yeah.
them.
So I'm taking that presence, curiosity, connecting to the client, and certainly that fourth wing around having a meaningful goal. I'm going to have one on my own. I think it's really important at the outset you spend time to understand the business environment, the context in which the individual finds themselves, and that really does mean understanding the
Yeah,
culture, the way we do things around here. And
yeah,
and I think you both made the point. Being open-minded, don't go with a stereotypical view of what the culture is,
yeah.
because irrespective of where we work, organisations generate their own set of sort of cultural norms. Okay, well, what I want to go on to next is this is a podcast aimed at coaches. So, what advice would you give to coaches who want to build their sort of cultural awareness? What are the things they might be doing? Oh, I should have said, Nolly, you go first.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, well, if maybe, like I think that sometimes we need to know why we want to go in this culturally diverse. If we want to help, if we want to, what do we want to do? We want to have only the experience. So it's very important that the coach that wants to do this finds out first why they want to do it. It's very important. Then the coach, I think, would have to read about the cultures they want to work with. The other day, a colleague of us in 1080 showed me a book that is a culture map that is given by a company that works with a lot of diversity.
Yeah,
So, if what do we understand for diversity is very important for a coach to find out. If it's a strength, if it's a weakness for the countries, for the companies. How do we see it? I think that's important too. And another thing is to make sure that you are seeing the person, like we said before, and without uh, taking excluding the place where this person comes from, because it does have an impact.
yeah,
Through the years, I've seen it, but sometimes people only go to the social side, like in South America in this moment they have lots of political unrest in the whole region, and so people talk only about it, how do you react about this and that, but they are missing to see all these personal, what is the people missing, what are they needing, what is happening. So that's what I would think. That's what I think that is important to look at the social side too. No,
Yeah,
that's
before I ask you to come in, Natalia, I mean, I think this developing cultural understanding for coaches is something that's become very, very important post COVID,
mhm.
particularly with the advent
Yeah.
of the coaching using things like Zoom or Microsoft Teams.
Mhm.
I can certainly speak on behalf of 1080. If we think about our business now, there was a stage where when coaching was face to face, you probably had assignments within 30 miles.
Yeah.
In the last 12 to 18 months, Nolly, we know we've delivered in South America, in
Yes.
Afghanistan, India.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I do think it will be of greater importance than ever before that coaches have this cultural awareness. I will ask Shannon to find out the title of that book and we will post it in the
Yeah.
notes.
Yes.
Natalia, what's your take on that question?
Uh, I would say four things. One of them is really keep raising. If you have an interest in cross culture coaching, raise your awareness about different cultures. Meet people, listen to podcasts, read. So just get your wisdom and get your knowledge first on those differences and similarities. Second thing is practice. So obviously, when we practice, the more we do coaching, the more reflective we are, the more then we embrace and transfer knowledge into wisdom. So we just want to then embrace it via practice. The third one, I would just say, keep tailored approach that comes from this
Yeah,
presence, listening, adaptability, flexibility, respectful to the context and people's current history and past history. So kind of really respect that and have a tailored coaching approach. Be really adaptable and flexible. And the fourth one, I would potentially say, have supervision. So as a practicing coach, take those cases, those interesting cross-cultural cases to a supervision group,
yeah,
whether one-to-one or group supervision, so that you can grow as a coach, acknowledge also yourself for good things, and also take care of the client so that you can get better and better and helping people to achieve their resonant and meaningful goals
yeah.
in different cultures.
Yeah, I think that's very important. That ability to share coaching experiences,
Yeah.
either collectively with fellow coaches or supervision. I'm going to add one more to it, which is I think often there's a perception that the coach is the professional. The coach, sort of almost spent here or here, spent time training. You need to be humble. You need to acknowledge you don't know, and so my experience about coaches is sometimes asking them to explain why that is or how things operate. Truly having that open mind, be humble. Don't go in there thinking you know everything because you almost certainly do not. Um, by the way, that's the beauty of it because it's a learning experience. So we're almost at the end point, and we're talking about coaching across cultures in general terms. However, I also think we have to remember that the person we have in front of us brings their own filters and experience to that coaching relationship. So, how do you balance that, the filters and the experiences, in this sort of cultural awareness? So, final summary question around so just give me a final statement around that, please.
Mhm. So you want me to start?
Yeah, just please, Nolly.
Uh, okay, thank you. Uh, well, the experiences of the persons are the the experiences of the coachee are the food for the session, right? But the
Yeah,
experiences of us as a coach, they're also very important because sometimes we find that we don't have the flexibility that we wish we can have. And so we decided that we are going to work only with these people or only with the other people. So it's, in my opinion, it's very important to find out which are our strengths as a coach, and
okay.
from then find a balance with the weaknesses that we can have. Because what you just said is very important. Sometimes when people study this kind of profession or social humanities or all kinds of profession that have to deal with people, psychotherapy, they feel that they're over the rest because they can find out through body language this and that idea. But it's not, if you don't have the you don't take into consideration the feelings or the experiences of the other person, then we have nothing, or just a theory. And our work is mainly very practical. We have to uh, give concrete stones, if not to the way the person have to go. A bit like Hansel and Gretel, you have to be putting the the way so the person pave the way so the person can find out. So I think that's a balance. Try to find our own strengths towards our own, um, because we cannot teach something that we don't do.
Okay.
So looking at our weaknesses is important in my opinion.
We're short of time, so I'm not going to ask you to respond to that, Natalia. But we have had two questions come in, which I'm delighted to say. The first one is, I think we've covered the one key difference in coaching that you've noticed when working with clients in different cultures. And the second one from Alison around, are there different etiquettes around titles or how we address clients in email? So one's more the one thing, and the other was more of a sort of dare I say a technical etiquette question. What do you think, Natalia? Do you want to take both those two questions?
Absolutely. So the one key difference in coaching I've noticed when working with clients, first of all, is the level of understanding what coaching is and what coaching isn't, and also the second thing I would say, the other difference is at which level there is a challenge for the client, whether it is more at an identity level, who we are as people, and this is very much influenced by the culture. And this is a very interesting way of working with people at an identity level. It requires a lot of depth and a lot of different deep tools to help them transform. So this is what I've noticed. So identity changes essentially. So that's my take.
And the email etiquette question?
And the email, apologies because my phone just started calling. And in terms of etiquette, I would just say, like, for example, in Poland, when you kind of meet someone for the first time, you refer to them as Miss or Mr. And then when you start the coaching session, there is a preference to create a more relational presence. So you just kind of call people by name. Obviously, in the UK, as we know, we call people by name. So I think there is a more informal way. So depending on the country, obviously, what's their cultural etiquette around, whether it's more formal, distance to kind of authority as well level. And then we really I try just to create a very relational connection with people from the very first session.
Yeah. I mean, I always mirror image what way it comes in, so I try and dress them exactly how they're dressing me. So whether that's right or not, I don't know, but I always think that's showing them that level of respect that you understand what they're doing. Okay, we've reached the end of our time, so I just want to, before I say thank you for all your input, is there anything else we haven't covered or anything you want the audience to take away from this conversation? Nolly, final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts are, I think we touched almost everything, but I think that it would be interesting to have more coaches that do multicultural training and do work, because that's what we are needing now. The world is global, the world is changing, so we cannot just, well, we live here in the UK, but we cannot stay just in one country. That's what I think.
Thanks, Nolly. Indeed, this session was originally, we ran it for all the 1080 coaches because I think you're right. It's more than ever, understanding the environment in which people operate and their culture is critical for successful coaches. Natalia, what's
Yeah.
your final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts is it's really great to gain experience in coaching people from different culture. It's really enriching for the coach. It's very transformative for the coach, but it's also really enriching for the client. We want to create this interconnectedness. The more we tap into collective intelligence, into diversity, the more creativity and positive change can happen in the world. So that it's great to be interconnected. That's my takeaway.
And in fact, I'm going to take it one step further to say it's a great time to be in the coaching industry.
Yeah.
The fact is, your exposure to different cultures is endless. And personally, from a coach, that's very exciting and very informative. Nolly, Natalia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I can't give our audience the exact date of our next executive coaching uncovered, but I can tell you it will take place in October. One of our coaches, Rick Denton, who works extensively with the LTA, the Lawn Tennis Authority, is going to talk with a couple of sports coaches. Are there lessons we can take from sports coaching and apply to business coaching? So until then, thank you, everybody, and stay in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.